Hello and welcome to another Stompy 51 miniature adventure. This one is going to be about my Gretchin stuntbots, gruntbots, artillery and an orky mechanic. And also just to show you that I do occasionally actually paint something. Before I forget, the walkers are 3D STL sculpts by Fnath Arts. And they are pretty faithful to the original Rogue Trader sculpts. Now, when I say I've been painting something, I've actually been painting something that's mildly disingenuous in the spirit of when politicians say that they've allocated a gazillion pounds for some hospital, and you look at the previous allocations, and basically it's been 90% of that allocation for however many years, and they just topped it up. And that's basically what's happened here. So you will remember a video where I had 3 of these painted, and I had another one to be painted, and so I did it in the current crop. And these are little goblins. They're resin, and they're from Cromlech. Lovely, as you can see. And these were painted largely with weathering because I thought, well, spray painting with Mephiston red spray, and then a bit of a wash, and then a bit of, light weathering with, dabbing a bit of metal with a packing material, and a few attempted bits of sort of cracking and washes where kind of the paint, where the rain would go, and then some rust effect. Oxide rust, can't remember who makes it, maybe the army painter, and just kind of rubbing it around just to keep things really very, very simple. And these are going to be stunt bots for Mantic Games Firefight, which I haven't played. I obviously played a lot of Dead Zone, but Dead Zone really is a small scale skirmish game, and once you've got 4 of these, you need to upscale to Firefight. And there, the bog standard one comes with a thermal cannon, buzzsaw and auxiliary flamer. I mean, these things are the equivalent of a buzzsaw. That's obviously a flamer. I suppose that could be a thermal cannon, range 24, an anti-tank. But the things you can upgun those, you can upgun them for 20 points to an HEW cannon. And I mean, what speaks to being pummeled by a range 36 armor piercing 5, which is pretty high end armor piercing, certainly in Dead Zone, then a Games Workshop las cannon and plasma cannon. And so that's what these will be. And so the only thing I really did, as I say, was to paint this one, but then put some water effect, resin water effect, into those vision grills over there. But I did manage, as part of painting that 4th one, to paint these 4 little grunt bots. Hello, grunt bots. And so what is a grunt bot when it's at home? So basically it's just got assault weaponry, loads of assault weaponry, and it's little bulky, frenzy 2 and walker. So you've got these crazed little goblins, and I painted them very much in the same way as the stunt bots. And I also rubbed in some dirt effects just to make them look a bit more lived in, and where I thought that oil and muck would be coming out of metallic grills, well, I sort of smoothed some of that in as well, and put in a few washers around areas where I thought that over time muck would pool, because these goblins aren't known for their interest in keeping weapons effective and efficient. And I mean, this is very much true to the 1980s Gretchin, who were kind of plugged in, and every time they kind of make a move, the arms go with them. And that is best shown by my little creative effort over here, telling a little story. So here, this is a Kev Adams Uskal Miniatures sculpt, a little French company, for Blood Bowl, and it's been sitting in my lead pile for the better part of 15 years, and I never knew what to do with it. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to snip off his legs, plonk him in there, and as he's kind of gone like this, the wiring into his tush and his nervous system at the base of his back has meant that the little arms are mocking the enemy alongside him. Now, I would also add that I might have made a bit of a strategic error, because the upside of 3D printing is that you can knock these things out reasonably cost effectively. The downside is that they are, the resin, lovely though it is, and fairly robust though it is basically, I would say, it has the impact integrity of bone china. So obviously I was it inspired to place them into a celebrations box, at kind of chint level? No, but I've dropped the box twice in the last 3 months, and both times each of these smashed into about 4 pieces. Now, they broke very nicely and cleanly in a way I was able to kind of glue back, and if I couldn't find a piece floating around the garage, well, it became scope for an interesting conversion. With that one, I couldn't even be bothered to kind of glue it straight. But can you see that's from a 40k model? Adeptus Mechanicus one is the Castellan. But it was annoying, and if you looked very closely, you'd see on some of these some very thin kind of break lines, like if someone dropped a Ming vase and had to kind of super glue it back together. So that was a downside, but you could say if I kept these properly packaged, that would be great. But equally, that becomes an economics problem in and of itself, because pluck foam or whatever, people seem to charge like £5 per layer, and much though I love these, you can spend, there's only so much I want to spend on all of it. But anyway, I think it's worth it when these are marching towards you on the battlefield, obviously perhaps more spread out rather than a kind of a road to Kiev little Boy Scout march waiting to get RPG'd. You will be scared. That is what I'm hoping. So that one, he comes with, he's included. He's included with the STL, giving the Goblin 2-finger salute. And as I mentioned, he's from Uskal Miniatures. Who knows if they're still in business? I'm sure they are. And the bigger guys are from Cromlech. But I thought to myself, it doesn't matter, they're different sizes, because according to the law, they're all arising from fungus, and some get bigger, some get smaller. And oh yes, scale comparison. More scale comparison. Look how big Mr. Orc is. I've done a video on him already, with his crazed blue-haired little Columbia campus goblin there. I did paint this guy, this Mechaniac, whatever they're called, the other week as well. Again, keeping it reasonably simple. He's not painted for 40k. He's painted for Xenos Rampant, because I read you could have, you could allocate one of your units a kind of force field upgrade, which lets you kind of suck in a bit of damage from those around you. And if I come up with some kind of close combat unit to surround him in a group of an additional 4, I guess, maybe Orc Knobs, he could go in the middle and represent that, as you shoot at them as they march slowly up the field, they can absorb some of the pain rather than getting whittled down. I always like to throw in a little bit of bits to make it look like they're on a lived-in battlefield. And I didn't go to town. Again, a lot of it was kind of just random weathering. I did try to kind of keep up some interest by using bronze as well as different kinds of standard metals, silvers, whatever the word is. So this was just a kind of chainmail type silver, but this was more of a kind of a dark metal silver for the gun. And I will put some kind of water effect onto these little globules of glass and on the little magnifying glass over there as well. The right arm, isn't the arm that comes with the kit. I picked this up second hand and there was no right arm, and I had this kicking around. I think it's from a Gorkamorka knob, which has been floating around for many years. So at least it's found a bit of a new life. It doesn't quite match underneath there, but I thought to myself, he's wearing a few rags. He's an orc. They don't go shopping in Next or Target. Maybe they do. Maybe it's a new style, kind of ripped jeans, ripped top. But who cares? No one's going to look underneath his right arm. And, he looks quite fun. As a matter of fact, thinking about it, maybe he could be in a unit of these guys as they stomp forward. Do the goblins have the wherewithal, the technological wherewithal to keep these maintained? But then again, neither do the orcs. According to the law, it's just a question of faith. Their faith enables these things psychically to actually work, even though from a pure drawing board perspective, they shouldn't work. And that's not all, no. No, that is not all, because I also managed to pick up something secondhand that I've been looking for years and years, being some kind of artillery capability for the orcs and goblins. And I stripped these. First time I've used Dettol to strip, and I must say, it is pretty effective, albeit I would say, when you get your little nail scrubbing brush, do not dip it in water, because it kind of congeals with the paint into something that destroys the scrubbing brush and could destroy your miniatures. So you've got to kind of just keep scrubbing it inside the Dettol, and maybe use some spray washing, one of those non-toxic sprays they use in the kitchen, to kind of keep the scrubbing brush lubricated. Anyway, because in these various systems, so this can be orc artillery in Firefight, and it could be, there's plenty of artillery options in Xenos Rampant, but it's on one base, the 60mm base, rather than being split up, which means you can make a little bit of a diorama. And I had fun doing it, because I listened to a podcast about Dickens, and in the very start of his career, he had a pen name Boz, and he would do these little sketches, like a little page about, largely working class people. He would just look at them in a crowd, look at them, a flower market seller or something, and he'd write a little story, what's their life like. And it was the first time that people actually showed a realist interest in, I suppose, a bit of humanity, a bit of character sketching. And so I thought maybe I could try that with these, each one telling a little bit of a story. So he's running back and forth with some kind of tools, because, they just can't quite get this big zap gun to work, whilst this fellow is just staring off into the distance, trying to find a proper target. And even though they're little, they collected that little helmet because it makes them feel big. Obviously, they didn't kill the Marine, but it makes them feel like they've achieved something. This is a bit of a bigger piece of kit, and so he's sitting there with his little monkey wrench trying to do something useful, and he's got a screwdriver. The orcs have run off with the little gobbos. They're going to stay behind and just keep firing. And on the subject of keeping behind and firing, normally having duplicate miniatures is not good, but I thought here, if I paint them with different coloured trousers, maybe slightly different colour skin tone, make them look a bit different. I mean, maybe they're twins. They're just shoving in artillery, shoving in shells as quickly as they can, like they're in Verdun or something, just going bang, bang, or as they said in Blackadder, boom, 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 boom. Bit of Gretchin poetry for you. And here's the last one. I've always got a bit of time for workplace bullying, having suffered it so much myself. That's not true. I work in the most amazing, kind organisation. But anyway, that doesn't stop me making naughty gags at every opportunity about anything, really. and I suppose that's tolerated. So that's a little, what they call snotling, and he's being yelled at by his goblin boss, Gretchin boss, to push this, to align it properly so it can fire in the right direction. Now, if he was a nice guy, he might hop off and reduce the weight. But do Gretchin think like that? Do they? Do they, heck? And I've just spotted that I think I might have to file down a bit of metal off the base of his nose. Or leave it and just paint it green, snot green with a bit of water effect. And then over here we've got some spin cast resin from, I think Heartbreaker Miniatures makes these Kev Adams goblins, but then Impact Miniatures in the States made some out of spin cast resin, and lovely though they were, some of the bendier bits just kept snapping, and so that little skull snapped off the end of a goblin wizard's staff, and so now it's just lying there as part of this battlefield. And that little rock is from a volcanic island, and I wish I'd picked up more of them because they're very nice and light and look quite fun. And now it's sitting on the base of this little Gretchin diorama. Boom, boom. Well, actually, this is more zap, zap, zap. And last but not least, I also picked this guy up second hand. I want to give myself a medal for managing to drill a hole into each of these 1.5mm, maybe 2mm thick bits of boss pole, and then sticking a paper clip in between. And it seems pretty robust. Annoyingly, it didn't come up with a left arm, it came with this arm, and I only realised too late that it's a little bit thin. I mean, I try to bulk it up with a bit of green stuff, but it is not in keeping. So if someone out there happens to have a left arm that is compatible with this, that would be great. I think it would have to be plastic, because actually no, well, if someone has the actual arm, that'd be great. Otherwise I might have to look into getting a plastic one and then doing some green stuffing. Not that my green stuffing is up to much, but there you go. At which point I think we'll leave it. Thank you very much for watching to the end. Please do like, comment and subscribe in the usual way, and I hope to see you soon.